Hi everyone, welcome to Procrastination Points Video Snark. This video series isn't an audiobook, it's designed as commentary. This series emphasizes reading and listening comprehension skills. My focus is on reading books, identifying areas that miss the mark, and suggesting ways that they could be reimagined. I'm continuing my read-through of Chromatic by Ashley Bustamante. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, you can find the links below. Chapter 29. Ava waits as long as she can before she tries the cuffs, exactly as she thought. They weren't locked and she's able to get free. In the corner of the room is a random filing cabinet. She goes through it in the hopes of finding literally any bit of red to draw power from, but when she does, she also finds evidence that Selene has been using mentalists to mind control others. As she leaves the room, she tries to tell herself that she shouldn't try to rescue any of the benefactors who might be held there against their will. She's mainly thinking about Marion, who was able to snap out of her brainwashing after a dose of orange magic, but she also reminds herself that she needs to take care of herself first, which it's about time. But then she goes against what she literally said not even a paragraph earlier, that she can't make this a dividing factor between the mentalists versus the all-mentors and shapers. She has got to go try and save literally everybody. Excuse me, I need to go beat my head against a wall for a little bit. She doubles back and finds a figure floating in a tank. Upon closer inspection, she finds that it's Garen. I don't know who this is, but the narration makes it seem like somebody who's been with their rebellion for a while. Ava questions how he ended up there because the last she knew he'd been in Neo Prism. Ava finds as much red in the room as she can and then tries to break the tank that he's in, but she doesn't have enough red energy in combination with her recent malnutrition. From inside the tank, Garen encourages her to leave him to save herself. She feels bad, but goes. However, her little pointless detour costs her the surprise element of her escape. As she goes into the next room, Selene tackles her. Right before Selene can do anything, somebody stabs her through the chest from behind. Selene's last act is to apologize to Ava, which takes her by surprise. She also encourages Ava to use the blood to fight off the person who murdered her. As she dies, Ava gets a look at her murdered Selene, Jaden, which doesn't surprise me at all. No, the thing that surprises me is that this book suddenly got rather dark with a murder. Love my Snark? I also offer book editing services where I bring that same approach to your writing. If you'd prefer a more traditional approach, I also offer professional book editing services. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions about my editing services, including pricing options. Chapter 30. Jaden obviously begins with the mocking. However, Ava tries to find some fortitude in the thought of Selene's death. Before anything further can happen, benefactors come in. It should surprise literally nobody that Jaden blames Selene's death on Ava. She's taken away. In the other room, Jaden says that Selene was holding back on account of her history with Ava. Now that she's out of the picture, they can actually get started. Ava mocks Jaden's hope to take over Selene's role as a leader. However, he seems to think that by hooking Ava up to the machine that he can control the population using her yellow magic, that he doesn't even need to convince people that he should be in charge because her magic can do it for him. Although Ava fights back as best as she can, she's exceptionally weak from malnutrition. She goes into the tank. Jaden's last words to her is that although she can freely use her magic, it will only further power everything. The narration then dives into day 1 all the way through day 5. I don't know why any of this is necessary. We all know that she's being tortured in there. There's not really much to say about this other than to question the sustainability of this. After all, they're not feeding Ava and she's growing weaker by the day. This honestly feels like the resolution of the Shatter Me series. If they weren't so set on murdering most of the population, I'd say to let it do the Shatter Me route. That is to say, let them tear each other apart from the inside out simply because of their own incompetence and overinflated egos. If you're interested in reading my own stories, you can purchase my spicy short stories as well as 2 full-length novels on Amazon. I also frequently run flash sales on my stories. If you're not already following me on Reddit, I recommend doing so to stay updated on when I offer free content. Reddit is currently the only place where I'm advertising myself these days. Chapter 31. I'm not even sorry for saying this, but POV switch to Elm. Why? Why? You were doing so good up until now. So close. Literally not writing this in first person would have resolved this. Why? Why couldn't you have done this to start with? Anyway, gemstones everywhere seem to have completely depleted themselves. This means that Sammy and Elm are rather vulnerable. They waste a lot of time trying to sneak around now that they can no longer be invisible. Eventually, they decide to head back to the cave where all of the yellow gems were. Along the way, they come across butterflies. With no magic, they're forced to use rocks to smash them. However, Elm is of the opinion that even those will eventually stop working soon now that magic in the land seems to be dying. And there's this really long bit where Elm thinks about the yellow flower he'd first stumbled upon, the one that he used the magic copier in Book 1 to make millions of copies of, the flower that eventually led him to meeting Ava. He kept the original even though its color is long gone by now. However, he now thinks about how that flower had dared to defy the yellow band and basically compares himself to that flower, resilient and refusing to give up no matter what. Sammy makes a remark that there's hardly anything around that's still alive. Elm agrees with that assessment, saying that the land has changed. When they get to the cave, they find that a massive tree has grown its roots over the mouth of it, preventing anybody from going in and out. With glee, Elm tells Sammy that it's his lemon tree somehow. It's also pretty much the only living thing around for miles anymore. Patreon has recently introduced free memberships. By joining, you'll be able to enjoy the same content I post on Tumblr, now conveniently available on Patreon. Patreon supporters can enjoy even more books starting at only $1 a month. Plus, Patreon now offers a 1-week free trial. Don't miss it. Big shout out to Phoebe for supporting me on Patreon already. Also, huge thanks to Josh and Mark for making a one-time donation. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Chapter 32. Although there are no lemons, there are bright green leaves on the tree. Elm asks Sammy for a recommendation on what he should make, and she rather selfishly requests a dress. Elm knows that she's doing that out of jealousy for the things that he made for Ava, but he makes her a blue dress anyway. He then drains the blue so that he can use his shaper magic to break through the roots. It feels like making the dress was an unnecessary step, mainly because you could have made any sort of cutting implement. Instead, he went out of his way to make a blue object simply so that he could use blue magic. Why? As they look around inside, they find that the roots destroyed parts of the cave and exposed a lot of the gemstones. They gather up as much as they can, stocking up for themselves as well as their friends. After they've loaded themselves up, Sammy requests that they rest before heading back out again. Elm feels bad since he knows that he's been running Sammy ragged trying to figure out how to rescue Ava, but he also knows that whatever they're doing to Ava, it's likely bad. Finally, Elm decides that while he has access to yellow magic again, he can visit Ava's dreams to try and figure some things out. He comes to the portal section where he can hop into other people's dreams. He knows what Ava's portal looks like and then panics when he can't find it. He does eventually see it and finds that it's mostly drained of color, which is obviously not good, but when he tries to go through, he finds that he simply walks through the portal as if it's a hologram. Thanks for watching. New Booksnark videos go live every Monday with occasional extras during the week. Your support means so much, even if it's not financial. Watching my videos, subscribing, and liking and sharing them with friends all go a long way in helping my channel grow. If you've already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Facebook, WordPress, Tumblr, or free on Patreon for my main Booksnarks, always free and updated every morning. A link tree for everything is posted below. See you next week, guys!